Hi, everybody. It's April Henry. I almost said hi, April Henry, because that's the kind of week it's been. Today, I'm going to be doing another Facebook Live video, which I'll put on my website, aprilhenry.com, as well as my YouTube channel, April Henry, which is also called April Henry. Um, the shirt I'm wearing today is one my kid made. It's all about being happy. It has a lot of happy things on it. And she used to make t-shirts. Now she has managed to leave New York City and is living with some friends in the Catskills. And I'm so thankful she's not in the city right now. So I thought today I would make it ask me anything. So if you want to put some questions up, I will start trying to answer them. Um, Yesterday I had a really tough day. I didn't get any traction on anything. I actually do have a deadline. I have a book due July 15th, but I just couldn't make any progress on it, and I felt irritated and worried all day. And so today, my goal is to set the bar so low that I trip over it. Um, I I've been thinking about how I went to Trader Joe's earlier in the week. They said they would open at 9. Those were their new hours, and I showed up at 8:45 to get in the line and was pleasantly surprised that I was able to get in, that they were opening earlier than they said. So I think for me right now, being it's better to over deliver than under promise, or is that how you say it? Anyway, just trying to give myself so much slack that I will succeed it by the end of the day, because I will have so little that I'm believing that I should do. So some of the questions I've gotten before, one was, how do you get names for characters? And I keep a running list of names that I like. If I keep it in Evernote, which is a program that syncs across all my platforms. So if I meet somebody with a cool name, I will write it down. I'll be like, oh, I like that name. And when I'm going to go look for character names, I will look on that list. I grew up in the era of Nancy, Lisa, Debbie, and Kathy. So obviously, I cannot name any of my teen characters that unless maybe they were named after their grandma. So I keep a list of the unusual spellings, the different words that I run across. Also, Social Security has a database of names that you can look at, and you can look at the most popular names, and you can go pretty deep. You can go, I think, a couple hundred deep into what are the most popular names. So you don't have to pick number 7, but maybe around number 93, you'll see something that you really like. You can think, oh, that could be a name for my character. Um, uh, I'll also look at names of people that have written me fan mail, and I'll think, oh, that could be the name of a character. So keeping a running list helps me so that I don't get stuck when I'm going to go name new characters. And like I said earlier in the week, I also keep a list of um, names by the first letter of the alphabet so that I don't repeat any, because people can get lazy and not notice that or not notice that they're different names, and just think that all the people who start with J, like Jason and Josh, are the same people, and then they get very confused. Somebody wanted to know about my time writing versus time editing. And I will, it's probably 50-50. And that's even before I send it to my editor. And she makes a lot of changes and she wants a lot of edits. But I will write something. I have trouble moving on. I know people say write a crappy first draft, but I have a hard time moving on unless my chapter feels like it's right. So I'll do a lot of self editing. The problem is, you really can't have the creative person living in your head at the same time as the editor. So you need to find ways to make that editor get out of there for a while and then come back and edit. What has been working for me earlier this week was to literally set my phone timer for 5 minutes, write as fast as I can, on a scene, like I know what's going to happen in that scene, or I know vaguely, and then come back and edit it and fix it and play around with it and think about what else I might need in that scene. Set a timer, write for 5 minutes, see how fast I can write. My total right now, fastest, is 216 words in 5 minutes, and then edit it and keep going back like that in little tiny chunks. Which is one way that I'm channeling today's anxiety. That's what people have been asking me, is how do you channel today's anxiety. And I think one thing to do is to keep a journal, a super honest journal just for yourself, and lay out all your stresses and your frustrations and your worries. Um, for those of you who are spiritual, for me, praying with my hands overhead when I am super stressed out has been very useful because after a while, you cannot keep holding your hands up. It hurts. And so you eventually realize that you're going to have to let go. You cannot hold on to things, you can't control them. This COVID-19 outbreak is a great example of how we don't, there's times where we can't control anything. And I also think it's so unusual because it's affecting everyone. There isn't a single person in this world, except maybe David Geffen on his yacht, that has not been affected by this. Another person wanted to know what's it like to travel all the time. And it's so weird. I don't really like to travel, and now I'm missing it. So I keep a suitcase stocked all the time with, I have duplicates of all this stuff, like my toothbrush, floss. I carry extra floss. I've started carrying extra everything because you're always running out and there's no store. So if there's an eye drop or something, I make sure that I have that on me. Um, I try and color coordinate. So the problem with social media is if you're doing a tour or something, you're going to show up. And if you don't wear different clothing every day or a different scarf, then people are going to think it was all the same event. So I try with scarves and things that you can wear more than once. This t-shirt I'm wearing is by Ably, Ably. They make this weird t-shirt that is cotton and has some kind of proprietary thing in it so that it doesn't smell and it doesn't get dirty. It also doesn't absorb sweat very well, which is probably part of the doesn't get dirty thing. There's a weird commercial they did, or an infomercial, where they gave the shirt to reporters and they wore them for a week at a time. They wore them to bed, they wore them to exercise, they wore them to work, they wore them every single moment that they could. And then they took the shirt off of them and without washing it, handed it to another person. And that person, not knowing what had been with that shirt, they asked them to smell it. And they're like, no, it smells fresh. So it is, it's not necessarily a dressy fabric. It's just like a cotton t-shirt, but I will wear those under things sometimes just so I'll have something that doesn't need to be constantly washed. Or I'll bring like a lightweight rash guard or something that underwear that you can rinse out in the sink so that I don't have um, that I have some options that I'm not like putting on clothes that feel disgusting. So travel actually is not very glamorous anymore. They jam people in there. There's starting to be food again, which is interesting. I don't know if they'll keep that now when we all start flying again. But I always carry extra food, um, nuts and little kind bars or Cliff bars, so that because I'll miss meals a lot. And let's see, somebody asked about interesting things that have happened during my travels. It's more just weird things like spilling things on your last pair of clean pants, or that guy that took off his shoes ago and put his foot on the top of his knee so it was resting right next to my tray table. He was from another country. I decided it was not worth arguing with him. I just closed my eyes and didn't use my tray table and tried to pretend I didn't see it. Um, I've stayed in a lot of weird hotels. It's the one confusing thing is if you're at a different place every night, is going to the bathroom in the middle of the night and trying to figure out where the toilet paper is. Is it on the left or the right? Which place is it? Uh, and also trying to figure out what you're going to eat. I still haven't done Uber Eats or a DoorDash or anything. So I actually have been known to pack a baking potato, and you can bring anything through TSA pre-check um, or through TSA if it's frozen. So I have frozen guacamole, packed a potato, and some cheese in my luggage, and then made a microwaved baked potato with guacamole and cheese, which is actually one of my favorite meals. And I bring salt and pepper in a little baggie. So I see I've got like some old Kaiser folks on here. Hi, Vicky. Hi, Debbie. Um, so let's see. They asked if it was costly to travel. Usually, when I travel, someone else pays for the travel. So I do try and find the cheapest thing for them so that they don't have to reimburse me for too much. So I fly coach. I don't do the one where you can't bring luggage, and I will usually prepay the hotel so it's cheaper for them, which turned out to be kind of a mistake since I prepaid a bunch of hotels and then had to go through a bunch of hoops to get that money back. If any of you guys have outstanding airline tickets right now, I would not cancel them. I made that mistake. If you cancel them, they will just give you credit. But if you wait till they contact you and say that flight doesn't exist anymore, which is looking more and more likely, then you can say that doesn't work for me and you can get them to give your money back. So don't be like me. Do not cancel flights unless it's going to happen within 72 hours. Just wait and see if you can get the money back. I probably have $5,000 in airfare credits sitting out there right now that I cannot touch or use until I can fly again. And I don't know when that's going to be. So let's see if there's anything else that someone has asked. Let's see. I have had some crazy things happen during travel. Probably the craziest one, or one of the craziest ones, was I was in Boise, Idaho years ago, and I was early to check in to the hotel, and so I had to sit at the in the waiting area and wait for them to clean my room. And the cleaner lady came in and was talking to the front desk person, and she said, "Guess who's in room 105?" And I was listening, and the lady's like, "Who?" And she says, "The voodoo guy. I thought we banned him." And I was luckily my room was nowhere near number 105, but I spent so much time trying to figure out what did the voodoo guy do to get him banned from this Best Western. So, hey, Karen. So unless you guys have a question, I'm going to go in a second. So if anybody has a question, and if you want to get a question, if you want to ask a question now that I don't get to, I'll get to it on my next video. On Monday, I'll be back to my regular programming and talking about dialogue. So it's good to see some old friends on here. Everybody stay safe, wash your hands. We're going to get through this together. Set the bar low for what you're going to accomplish, because then you'll actually maybe do it. Bye-bye.